defend your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, sir.
You admit you've cheated.
It's kinda nice to see a couple trying to save their marriage, even if it's mostly because one of them messed up. They've been together for a while, but Ms. White decided to take a little detour on the Fidelity Highway. And now here they are, in the courtroom, trying to patch things up. Love, drama, and a judge. Just another day in paradise.
3 years.
3 years.
And so she looks to you, you're her father, you're her daddy.
Yep, just the other day she was at my mother's and she woke up and she asked, "Where's Daddy?"
And I can see this is just tearing you apart.
And wait, hold up. What's this about an ex-boyfriend showing up at their house? What's an ex even doing sniffing around a married woman's home? That's not a pop-in, that's a pop-off waiting to happen. And the cherry on top? She didn't tell her husband. Nope. He found out from the neighbors, because apparently the grapevine delivers faster than she does.
We got married until February of this year. I've been catching her cheating constantly.
A week after you got married?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. White, have you been cheating?
She did what? This woman couldn't even stay faithful a week after the wedding. And now, every time she and her husband argue, she's speed dialing her ex into the mix? Ma'am, marriage isn't a revolving door of bad decisions and familiar flings. It's no wonder Mr. White's ready to call it quits. Sounds like Judge Lake's about to hand out a reality check with a side of tough love. And honestly, someone needs it.
We didn't even do anything on Valentine's Day. We just sat there and talked. That's all we did on Valentine's Day.
He sends you a picture of his penis and you go over and talk?
Yeah.
Jerome, they must have changed my name.
What exactly is going on here, Ms. White? What are these conversations? Backtracking. She got pregnant just 8 months after they moved in together. No wonder Mr. White's raising an eyebrow. He's not exactly convinced little Savannah is his. I mean, she was probably cheating even before the wedding. If that's the case, why'd they even get married in the first place? Was it love, denial, or did marriage just seem like the aesthetic thing to do?
Unsolved that there was a 50-50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
And how did you get to a place where you decide you're gonna tell him, Miss White?
We got into an argument and...
How does this guy keep letting her back into his life after everything she's pulled? I mean, seriously, the woman has proven what she's capable of. And let's not forget, they tied the knot at 19. 19? That's pretty young to already have a PhD in cheating and manipulation. Ms. White, girl, you've been busy. Now she's pulling out the I have abandonment issues card.
I was more hurt because I done got attached to her. 6 months old, was there for the whole 9 months. I was the one that cut the umbilical cord. I watched her come out. I've been there for all my kids. I work.
This man is a saint. He seems like such a good father, always present throughout her pregnancy and the birth. He goes to work every single day of the week too. Looks like when he's busy busting his back to keep things together. Meanwhile, Ms. White, apparently, the moment he clocks in, she clocks into chaos. She gets lonely and abandoned, so naturally her solution is inviting other men over.
Any other reason to believe that your wife cheated other times?
I have text messages proof right here. Valentine's Day, she went to another man's house.
Oh, the audacity of this woman. Does she think she can simply take a time out when she's uncomfortable in her marriage? More so, she decided to go out simply because her husband did not get her anything for Valentine's Day, so no birthday gift. She goes out to cheat. With no good morning, babe, would she go out and cheat too? It's crazy the amount of men this woman has probably cheated on her husband with as it is.
Says, my body's naked, wishing you was in this bed with me. The ex-boyfriend texts back, LOL, you are crazy, about to call you in a minute. Your wife says, LMAO.
Whoa. Wish you were in bed with me is an absolutely crazy thing to say to your ex-boyfriend as a married woman with 3 kids and 1 on the way. Why exactly did this woman get married in the first place? Seeing as her abandonment issues are getting her to cheat now, that's probably what caused her to get married then. That's not the only man too. She was cheating with a whole bunch of them. Oh well, let's just get right to it.
Text.
Because he doesn't show me anything.
Always with the
He's
pivoting.
not there for
Always
me.
pivoting, you're trying to put it off on me. How you expect me to treat you the way you want to be treated when you're sitting here sexting other people?
Are her father. Autry, you say the defendant is taking advantage of your son by pinning a baby on him, and you have physical proof that her 2-year-old daughter, Skyla, is not.
At first, it seemed like this case might go smoothly, nothing too wild. But then Ms. Martin dropped the monster-in-law bomb, and yeah, that definitely changed the vibe. That's a pretty bold nickname for someone who's supposed to be like a second mom. Mrs. Autry came ready, with receipts and all, to back up her claims. So yeah, looks like this might not be as calm as we thought. Let's see where this goes.
Well, she entrapped my son by marrying him, by giving him things like money, clothes, car, you name it, she give it to him. And she just wanted a man to call on because she ain't about old.
Oh wow, things are heating up way faster than expected. So the whole case kicked off because Ms. Martin gave Mrs. Autry's son some gifts? Seriously? Mrs. Autry is convinced it's a trap, like Ms. Martin is out here laying relationship booby traps with presents. And sure, it's fair for a mom to be protective, but maybe, just maybe, her son doesn't mind being entrapped by Ms. Martin.
She says you entrapped her son. Did you do that?
No.
Were you buying him cars and all these things, giving him money and all of this?
He did the same for me in return.
There's definitely more going on here than just a few exchanged gifts. Ms. Martin says it was all mutual, just two people showing each other some love and appreciation. Sounds harmless, right? But Mrs. Autry clearly isn't buying it. At this point, it's starting to feel less like a legal case and more like a tug of war over who gets to call the shots in this man's life. Is Mrs. Autry just being an overprotective mom who doesn't trust any woman around her son?
That's your yes, your husband.
My husband.
So he's still your husband.
Get married
Yes,
to
ma'am.
you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because I got
Okay.
a phone call, y'all getting married down to my house, so I was on my way walking down there to start the marriage to my friend. That's why I was.
Oh, hold up. Plot twist. The man in question isn't just a boyfriend. He's Ms. Martin's husband. That changes everything. So now the question is, why is Mrs. Autry still so worked up? She even tried to stop the wedding? That's next level mama drama. At this point, it's less about protecting her son and more like she's battling for control of the entire relationship. Something is definitely off between these two women.
Married down the street from my house. So I got out of my bed and I started walking down the street to where she was getting married at. A friend seen me walking and she offered me a ride.
How did you find out she was getting married?
Someone called me and told me.
Your son didn't tell you?
No, he didn't.
The fact that the groom didn't even tell his own mother about the wedding? That's wild. Someone clearly had to tip her off, probably one of those informants planted in the background. And then having to change locations just to finish the ceremony? That's not a wedding, that's an escape plan. This case is beginning to give the courtroom a show of perfect drama.
Morton, it's just that she has been very disrespectful from day one.
She's the same way. I mean, what do you want me to do? You disrespect me all the time.
Well, you came into my home and disrespected me.
The courtroom right now feels more like a ping pong match, with words flying back and forth and no one letting the other get a full sentence in. It's loud, it's messy, and definitely not the kind of dialogue Judge Lake signed up for. Pointing fingers about who disrespected who first isn't helping either. It's like arguing over who lit the match in the middle of a fire. At this rate, the case might need less legal advice and more conflict resolution therapy. Total chaos.
Don't cross over.
Look
Nope,
at
they
the,
don't
yes,
lap over like
look
this.
Look at the right foot.
That little right one is kind of hedging over though.
Yes,
But
exactly.
they ain't all the way
Your Honor.
over there. That's not his baby.
Exactly.
It's gotta be fully crossed.
Yes,
Like seriously, crossing toes? That's the grand proof she's banking on to say the child isn't her granddaughter? That's a stretch if we've ever seen one. At this point, it's giving I just don't like Ms. Martin energy, and everything else is just background noise. From the wedding drama to the courtroom shade, it's pretty clear there's been tension from the start. But hey, whether it's crossed toes or crossed boundaries, only the DNA results can bring real clarity.
Pertaining to whether Mr. Martin or Mr. Gott, father of 2-year-old Skyla Martin, it has been determined by this court. The biological father is...
And boom, after all the chaos, the DNA results have landed, and Mr. Martin is the biological father. So, case closed on that front. Now would be the perfect time for the self-titled DNA queen to take off her crown of suspicion and pick up her grandma's slippers. Maybe this is her moment to level up from monster-in-law to mentor-in-love and give peace a real shot.
I need your help. Can I get an apology?
no. I do apologize to Skylar, but not to her.
I'll accept that.
And I
It's
will
all about
accept
Skylar at the
Skylar
end of the
into
day.
my house.
At the end of mother. So you say your marriage depends on today's paternity results after your wife announced that the child she is currently pregnant with may not be yours.
Today's case hits hard. Mr. Kiesel is here trying to save his marriage after his wife dropped the bomb. She's pregnant and says the baby isn't his. That's rough. If she wanted the marriage, why cheat and claim the child is someone else's? Hopefully, the DNA results either bring some healing or at least some clarity, because this one's deep.
Into a relationship. We had been dating on and off, but it was back and forth with my ex and him. We both have broke up a couple times over while we were dating.
What would make a newlywed cheat just 1 month into marriage? It really makes you question if love or real commitment was ever there, or if it was just a rushed decision wrapped in excitement. Marriage isn't something to dive into for the thrill of it. Owning up to the mistake is a start, but the damage is done, and now they both have to face the consequences. Hopefully the DNA results help.
We had been trying for a while, and she was in the bathroom. She walked out crying and told me she was pregnant, and I asked why she was crying, and she told me that there's a...
This case is layered with heartbreak. After struggling to conceive, the couple finally gets the news they've been hoping for: pregnancy. But the joy is short-lived, overshadowed by the painful possibility that the baby might not be the husband's. It's a tough blow when what should be a moment of celebration turns into deep uncertainty.
Conception day, April 1st, at my first. It wasn't really a doctor appointment. I had started spotting. So we went to the emergency room to confirm that I was even pregnant because we just had a home test done. So April 1st, I went to the emergency.
Mr. Kiesel is clearly holding on to hope that the baby is his, and understandably so. It's a good sign that the conception window lines up with the time they were intimate. It gives him something to hold on to. But the complication is real. There was another man in the picture during that same window, so as much as the timing gives Mr. Kiesel hope, it also leaves just enough uncertainty to make the DNA results absolutely necessary.
Have a nose that looks a lot alike. Mine goes down and then bubbles at the end, and with the ultrasounds that we had, the child had the same kind of nose.
You believe by looking at this ultrasound.
Totally. Just because a baby looks like someone doesn't mean they're 100% the parent. Genetics can be super weird. Sometimes kids come out looking like an uncle, grandparent, or no one at all. That's why trying to guess based on looks alone can get messy real fast. Good thing we've got DNA tests to settle it once and for all. No need to squint at baby pictures and play detective.
It happens in about 1 in 1,000 live births in the US, so it's a fairly common birth defect. 1/4 of those have a family history of someone in their family.
Nice! Judge Lake's bringing in a doctor to school everyone on genetics is a smart move. Understanding how traits get passed down helps clear up some of the mystery and gives Mr. Kiesel a bit more hope that he could be the dad. It's like science stepping in to cut through all the drama. Definitely a solid step forward in this case.
And the possibilities. I want this child more than anything. We had been trying for a child and we finally got it. I missed one appointment due to work, and that's all I've missed, and I've been here every step of the way in this.
Mr. Kiesel clearly wants to be in this child's life. He's been there, supportive, and even owned up to missing an appointment with a sincere apology. That shows commitment. But the real question is whether Mrs. Kiesel is ready to save the marriage or if she's still tempted to keep seeing her ex. At the end of the day, the DNA results will tell the full story.
Kiesel, when it comes to the child Mrs. Kiesel is currently carrying, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Kiesel.
With a case this tangled, it's no surprise a more advanced DNA test was needed, and thankfully, it delivered the clarity everyone hoped for. Mr. Kiesel is officially the baby's biological father. That's the win he's been fighting for, and the joy on his face says it all. It's not just about proving paternity, it's about holding on to family. A much-needed happy ending in court today.
And I know those are tears of joy. And I can imagine you have cried the other kinds of tears up until this point. And that's why I believe the truth is so special and so important. Is who is your dad? You've dragged the defendant to court to prove he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Robinson, you claim that you've always known you are.
Ms. Muller's childhood was seriously rough, like really painful, but she didn't let that define her. She joined the military, got married, and seems to be living her best life now. Still, there's one big piece missing. She wants to know who her real dad is. So, she dragged Mr. Robinson, the defendant, into court, demanding proof that he's her biological father.
being raised by myself and the people that I was in foster care with. So I was a little troubled child, but as I grew older, I told myself I didn't want to be like that. So I graduated from high school with an honors diploma. I joined the Army. I went and served my country overseas.
There's just something so inspiring about this woman. But here's where it gets interesting. Mr. Robinson admits he's known all along that he's not her real father. In fact, he says he pretended to be, just to keep her from getting hurt. So, what started as a search for truth turned into this tangled, emotional mess about family, protection, and secrets. This case is something.
Your Honor, when I was getting deployed to Iraq, I wanted my family there. I took the time out to call Mr. Robinson, asked him to be there for me. You know, I'm getting ready to deploy. Can you come up to the unit? His answer was, I'm busy. And he lived in the same city.
Ouch! That must have stung like a punch to the gut. Mr. Robinson claims he's always been there for Ms. Muller, even while secretly doubting he was actually her real dad. But Ms. Muller isn't having any of it. She fires back hard, saying that when she needed a place to crash or some cash to keep her own place afloat, Mr. Robinson just flat out turned her down.
Honor, even at a point, I was in Oregon at one point, and I was in this abusive relationship. And the last person I wanted to call was Mr. Robinson, but I had no other choice. I called him and
That kind of rejection definitely leaves some scars. But here's where it gets even more complicated. What exactly are the doubts Mr. Robinson has about being her dad? I mean, if he was so unsure all along, why keep up the act? And how does that uncertainty affect their relationship now? It's clear this whole thing isn't just about biology. It's tangled up in emotions and trust issues.
Stan, why do you have doubt? Were you having sex with her mother during the window of conception?
Yes, I was, but...
Okay, now, do you have any notion, idea, belief, or proof that her mother was also...
Looks like Mr. Robinson's case is already on shaky ground if he's trying to prove that Ms. Muller isn't his biological daughter. Honestly, he doesn't really have solid reasons to doubt it. His doubts just don't hold much weight, and that's going to be a problem for him in court. To make things even more interesting, Ms. Muller's mom, Ms. Cobbs, is here today too, and she's got quite a bit to say about the whole situation.
Time for them to go.
He's a bald-faced lie. If you come up in your house and see another man up in there, you gonna be that calm? When I'm committed, I'm committed. I don't do no outside dipping and dapping. Boy, it's him talking about being a...
Mr. Robinson, he's been nothing short of a model father. At least that's his version of the story. He says he signed Ms. Muller's birth certificate and even took her in to live with him when she was just 9 years old. But here's the thing. Despite doing all that, he claims he still had doubts about being her biological father. Ms. Cobbs is not having it, and she says those doubts make no sense.
I was at school and the principal came to my classroom. She told me it was someone here that wanted to meet me. She brought me down to the office and I remember seeing Mr. Robinson standing there and they told me that was my...
Talk about mixed signals. Why bring her home just to be abused? Mr. Robinson has been doing this since she was in foster care. He gave her such high hopes, then dashed everything to the ground in a heartbeat. It's evident that she never got over these experiences in her childhood. These experiences have become trauma as it is. Hearing about them alone is something, talk less of being in the middle of the mess.
In the hard way how a man is supposed to treat me. I might have been a tough child, but I didn't need you to throw me away. You put me back in foster care.
You chose to go back.
No, I chose to go live with my mom.
Right.
Oh boy, the temperature of the courtroom has gone up by a few degrees. This is why paternity court is so important. It's so easy to lose sight of how important it is that a child knows and identifies with their biological father. Almost 30 years later, Ms. Muller is still living a lie. To cut all of the drama short, the results are in and it's time to put an end to the lies. Here are the results.
Are her father.
What? Bam! Bam! That's what I'm talking about.
You are the father, sir.
See, I'm trying to discredit me.
I always tried to be that far.
I love you.
Yes, ma'am.
You state you've brought your ex-husband, Mr. Green, to court to prove he is the biological father of your 9-month-old son, Lawrence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Though you freely admit to sleeping with multiple men during the time of conception, you say,
Dragging your ex-husband to court to prove he's the father, after freely admitting you were with multiple men during your conception window, is bold, to say the least. It's no surprise he's denying the child. Anyone would be skeptical given the circumstances. When serial cheating enters the chat, so does serious doubt. But that's what paternity court is for.
That she had been with somebody in February, right before she had sex.
Yes, Your Honor. I was supposed to have been in a relationship, which he left me, which he did the same thing.
Sounds like another emotional roller coaster in Judge Lake's courtroom. Ms. Bailey says the marriage lasted only 6 months and even called it a fast one, which probably means it moved too quickly without real foundation. But if it was that rushed and unstable, why stay in it just to end up hurting each other? Now there's a child caught in the middle who deserves clarity, love, and stability, not courtroom chaos.
We got a divorce March 25th, and we was together April the 1st.
No, we wasn't, Your Honor.
I even went to Albany with him over his family.
So the bottom line is...
Exactly. This is the definition of messy. Divorce was supposed to mean closure, but clearly these two left the door wide open. Instead of moving on, they kept crossing boundaries. And to top it all off, Ms. Bailey was also with 2 other men during her conception window. Now there's confusion, frustration, and a child whose paternity is uncertain.
Respond.
It ain't mine. It can't be mine. Like, she moved to Alabama. Like, sex can't go on from Georgia to Alabama. And she, like I said, she already had admitted.
The fact that they were still being intimate during the pregnancy, even after the divorce, just adds more layers of confusion. Ms. Bailey says it was regular. Mr. Green says she vanished. One of them is definitely stretching the truth, or maybe both are just lost in their version of it. Well, it's all up to the DNA results to bring some sanity back to this chaos.
No buy into the fact that this was my child, so she sent me a picture. He had red hair. He's like almost white. He like,
and he still do. And he still do.
Hey, look, I did some research.
Little boy.
This case just took a sharp turn into Comedy Central. Mr. Green is really out here playing DNA detective and stand-up comic at the same time. The red hair comment had the courtroom on edge. Mr. Green is convinced there's no way that baby could be his. He's got questions, doubts, and clearly no interest in raising a baby he believes popped out of someone else's gene pool.
I knew what I was getting into. I knew I was ovulating. I knew what we was gonna lead to, but I figured since I never did get pregnant between the 3 years we was together, that I wouldn't get pregnant then.
Ms. Bailey came prepared, calendar, claims, and all. She and Mr. Green both agree the baby wasn't conceived during their marriage, so why is he still in court? Tracking ovulation is smart, but only DNA tells the truth. If her timeline doesn't match the science, that whole plan might just fall apart. Well, this would be the icing for Mr. Green's cake.
We got into a relationship. First of all, he was already with a woman, okay? He broke up with her to be with me, and then when Thanksgiving came along, he told me he was staying with his sister. So he asked me to spend a weekend with him, which I did.
It can be really emotional seeing people break down in court, but honestly, to be fair, there might not even be a good reason for her to be sobbing right now. She had all of this planned out. She probably just fell for the wrong person, and that's led her to make some pretty bad choices. Mr. Green most likely messed with her head, maybe even emotionally blackmailed her.
Versus Green pertaining to 9-month-old Lawrence Bailey. Mr. Green, you are Lawrence's father.
After all the back and forth, and finally getting Mr. Green to realize he needs to treat Ms. Bailey better, not to mention him blurting out that she tried to trap him, the results are out, and boom, Mr. Green is baby Lawrence's father. Looks like Ms. Bailey's plan actually worked. She pulled it off. Now Mr. Green has nowhere to run. Is he really trapped though?
Good to you, son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do the right thing.
She know I will.
Now this court does have resources for you. We're gonna offer those resources so you can maybe start sorting through and figure out how to.
Ms. Vargas was married. He initially told you that you were not the father of her 11-month-old son, but then dropped the bomb that the child was indeed yours.
Today in Paternity Court, 2 lovers are on the stand. The court is trying to figure out if Ms. Vargas's baby belongs to her husband or Mr. Angelaire. They definitely weren't actually a couple. Ms. Vargas was going through a tough time in her marriage and leaned on Mr. Angelaire for support during that rough patch. Mr. Angelaire claims he was just being there for her while things were shaky with her husband.
Do you immediately think it was your exes, or do you think it was Mr.
Work things out with my husband, Your Honor. I wanted to do it for him.
You gotta face reality.
This woman cheated on her husband and now won't admit the baby belongs to her side piece. Mr. Angelaire had an affair with a married woman and is convinced he's the baby daddy. Meanwhile, Ms. Vargas insists he can't be the father, and that totally ticked off Judge Lake. Mr. Angelaire made all this clear in court, saying that they had an affair, and he is positive that this baby is his.
One night, we ended up back at my place. We went to the house, started doing our thing.
Our thing.
Yeah.
That night when we, had sexual intercourse, you planned to get me pregnant. I feel like you did.
Oh, no.
I realize that you may hear some things, intense emotion.
Well, isn't that just heartwarming? You'd almost think they were starring in a rom-com with the way they talked about each other. But plot twist. When Ms. Vargas found out she was pregnant, she was all, "Yep, you're the dad, Mr. Angileri." Oops. Then things took a sharp U-turn when she decided she wanted to patch things up with her husband. Suddenly, her whole story did a 180.
So when you first found out you were pregnant, Ms. Vargas, did you call Mr. Angileri?
I first did.
Then you decided I want to try to work this out with so you tell your husband that
he was willing to take over responsibility even if it wasn't his.
Looks like Ms. Vargas's plan to fix things with her husband totally backfired, and not just a little. While she was busy trying to mend her marriage, she asked Mr. Angileri for some space and time to figure things out. But here's the kicker. No matter what, Mr. Angileri just couldn't get the idea of being the baby's dad out of his head. Can you imagine that? Drama, drama, drama.
you asked him to give you some space because you're trying to work this out with your
Yes,
husband.
Your Honor.
I moved away. September-ish is when I contacted her husband and her, saying, reality, whether you dislike me, whether you like me, you need to let me know if this is my child when the kid is born. She never told me when he was born. I heard from people around town.
The father.
I didn't want to have another kid.
I didn't want to have another kid.
Well, there we go.
They've got a point. The baby definitely deserves to know who's dad and who's mom. Even though both of them agreed to do right by little Woody, Mr. Angileri still couldn't shake the feeling that Ms. Vargas was playing shady games with both him and her husband. And here's why he felt that way. She kept on playing with both of them. One day he's the father, and the next day he's not.
The first few months, she's telling me I'm the dad. Then I end up getting a job up north. She told me, well, I want to try to work things out with or have anything happen with my children. I said, well, I can. One of my friends that lived down in the same area told me, oh, she's getting big. She's ready to pop. No, I didn't hear nothing. I moved to Washington. She contacts me on Facebook, 6.5 months old. Tells me, hey, my husband left. I don't have no more money. You got a kid here now.
Really?
To me, why did she lie?
You were the one asking me if I'm
because
I'm the dad.
You told me, well, you have a child here now.
If there is anything these guys are good at doing, trust me, it's arguing. Now, Mr. Angileri felt the only reason Ms. Vargas was coming back to him was because things didn't work out for her and her husband. But more importantly, he believed she didn't want her kid growing up without a dad in the picture. So, in his mind, she was using him as a fallback plan, kind of like the Plan B dad.
But I also see where she's coming from because she wants her son. And if he is my son, I want to be his father. I want to be involved in his life.
And I want you to be in because I want him to be there for him.
And if I'm his father, I will be there for him. But maybe get some money out of me. I have some evidence.
Absolutely, sir. What do you have?
Stating after I told her I couldn't give any money.
There's definitely something fishy about her story. First, she's all about making Mr. Angileri the dad, and then suddenly she's threatening to slap him with a restraining order? Come on, Ms. Vargas, pick a lane. Something just doesn't add up here. Luckily, Mr. Angileri came prepared with some evidence to back up his claim, and here's what he brought to court.
These are messages that say, I need you to give away your rights and never come around. I will put a restraining order on you. What had he done to warrant a restraining order?
Nothing, Your Honor.
So this is just angry.
Make excuses saying, oh, I can't send you money. One time did at Walmart for him to send the money and he never called.
So now,
I had a seizure. I was in the hospital.
husband, you said, look, give me some space. I want to try to work this out.
Yes, Your Honor.
One big reason Ms. Vargas suddenly changed her tune was because she claimed that as the baby got older, he started to look more and more like Mr. Angileri. You know, the classic resemblance card sort of thing. But here's the question. Did Mr. Angileri actually feel the same way about the kid? Was he convinced by the resemblance? Or did he have doubts of his own? Let's cut to the results.
Mr. Angileri, you are the father.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's all I've wanted. Like you said, everybody makes mistakes, but it's all about how you. He now has a mom and a dad.